Hello everyone, this is Shilpa B. Let us go for the file structure next concept, that is a journey of a byte. So here let us see how exactly a byte travels from the program area to the disk. Okay, what happens when a program writes a single byte to a file on a disk? What happens between the program and the disk? That is what we are going to study here. So we see an example of journey of one single byte. So we will append a byte. So I will represent it by a character P. So I am going to take character P for one single byte. Then it is stored in a character variable, say ch. Okay, and to a file named text. We have a file called text. To that file I want to append one single byte, say p. I want to store this p onto this particular file, which will be somewhere on a disk. We don't know where exactly it is. Okay, from programmer's point of view, the entire journey of byte is represented by this statement. What we usually do in our program, we just write the function for writing the things, writing the byte, that is write. Then the file which you want to write your character, I have the file name as text. Then the variable which will store the byte, that is ch, and what is the size of the character, what is the size of your particular data. So I will write the size as 1 byte. So this is if you are a programmer, this is what you know, right? We don't know what exactly happens inside. We just write text comma ch comma 1 in our program, finished. That will make your 1 bytes will be written onto the file text. Okay, so but we exactly don't know what exactly happens inside the system. That is what we are going to study here, a journey of byte. Now actual journey is much longer than this. A write statement, it when you specify a write statement, what exactly it is going to do is, it will tell the operating system send one character to disk. When you write the program as write something and 1, it will specify send one character to disk. Now your program code specifies to operating system that send one character to disk. Now it gives the operating system the address where it needs to be sent. So you have given text as your file name. So it is going to give the address as text to the operating system. Now what operating system will do? It will take over the job of writing. So it will take the job of writing, and then it will return the control to the calling program, saying I will take care of the next whatever byte you have sent, I will take care of that. So it will return the control of the control to the calling program. Now once the operating system has taken over the job, next it is not in your hand, that is it is beyond the programmer's control. So your program is done now. You have given the statement to the operating system saying I have 1 byte with me and I want to write it onto a file called text. Do your job. Now the operating system taken your job and it will do its job. Now it is not in your hand now. Now what exactly is file manager? Now operating system, it is not a single program. We know that it is not a single program. It is a set of program or collection of program. So each one is designed to manage a different part of computer's resource. Say if you have a keyboard, then keyboard is also having its own program. If I press A, it should display A, right? So that is also a program, operating system's program. If you are using a mouse, then that is also programmed. So everything is programmed inside operating system. So it is not a single program. You have a collection of program in it. Now, what exactly you want to do? Now I want to write something onto disk, right? So that is also I want to write something onto a file. So I need to have a file program in my operating system to deal with this, right? So among these programs, one deals with file related matters. We call it as file manager. So file manager, which is doing all the file related operations. That is a program in operating system which will do all the file related matters. Now operating system, it is going to give the job to the file manager. Now what exactly file manager does? The file manager, it looks up the text in table containing the information about it. So we have specified the address as text. So file manager is going to look the text file, whether the file is open, whether this file, whatever text file you have specified, whether it is open, whether it is available for use, what type of access are allowed, whether it is only read only. If it is read only file, then you cannot go for writing 1 byte, right? So it needs to check all those conditions. What physical file the text corresponding to. All the text file is a logical file. All the logical file will be having its own physical file, right? So it needs to check all these conditions. The operating system needs to check all these conditions. So that job is done by file manager. It will check all these conditions, and file manager searches a file allocation table FAT for the physical location of the sector, that is to contain 1 byte. Now in the file allocation table, what you will be having? You will be having the list of files and its particular address, right? So it will look that file allocation table and it will get its address, and to that address it want to write 1 byte, isn't it? So it will search that file allocation table for the physical location of the sector, that is to contain 1 byte. Okay. Next, we have one more concept now in our journey, that is IO buffer. So now file manager, it determines whether the sector that is to be contained P is already in the memory, or we need to load it into the memory. That is the job of that is found by the file manager. That job is found by the file manager. So suppose if it is already there in memory, then need not be loaded into the memory. Otherwise you need to load it once again. The file manager has to tell load that into the memory, right? So if the sector needs to be loaded, then the file manager must find the available system IO buffer space. Where exactly you want to load, that also needs to be found, isn't it? So if the sector is not there in your memory, then you need to load it into your memory. So where exactly you are loading it, you need to find a buffer space in order to load that into your memory, and then read it from the disk. Okay. Once it has the sector in the buffer, the file manager can deposit the P into the proper position in the buffer. Now when you when you have searched your IO buffer space and you got it, and there you can upload your P. You, in the sense, not the programmer, it is the job of file manager now. Now the file manager, it will move P from the program's data area to system output buffer. Now you got your buffer in the memory, right? There you are going to load your data P. So from the programmer's data area, it will load it onto the system output buffer. So system output buffer, input output buffer, it allows the file manager to read and write the data. Okay. Now what happens now? Next, the byte leaves the memory, the IO processor and the disk controller. How exactly it will leave and it will move on? Okay, till now bytes have traveled along the data path, which are designed to be very fast and are relatively expensive. So till now the byte moved very fastly, but now you got the narrower path. Okay, so data path that is likely to be narrower than the one in the primary memory. Okay, because you will be having bottlenecks. What do you mean by bottlenecks? It was created by differences in speed and data path widths. Okay, so your data path might not be same as previous, it will change, and there is a speed differences. Our byte and its companions might have to wait for an external path to become available. So now what our byte P is now have to wait for the external path to be come forward, and it will take our byte further. Okay, it is unreasonable to ask an expensive general purpose CPU to spend its valuable time doing IO, because CPU is having its own job to do, and if it is wasting its time with one single character to load, then it is not a good choice, right? So for that purpose we have a special device, we call it as IO processor. Okay, so IO processor, it may be anything, just it can be a small chip, simple chip, or it can be a powerful small computer, it can be anything. So that IO processor is going to take your job in order to continue the journey of byte. Now it will take its instruction from operating system. Once it begins processing IO, it runs independently, relieving operating system. Now when the operating system gives its job to the IO processor, then it is not in the hand of operating system. Now it came from programmer's hand to operating system's hand. Now operating system gave that job to the IO processor, and now IO processor takes over the job. The file manager might now tell the IO processor exactly where exactly there is a data in the buffer and it is to be transferred to the disk, how much data is there, where it needs to go, what is the address, the size of the data, that is 1 byte you have, then what is the address text, that is the address. There is a data in the buffer. Yes, we have a data in the buffer and it is to be transmitted to the disk. What is the size, what is the address, all these things needs to be instructed to the IO processor, because only the file manager knows all these things. That needs to be instructed to the IO processor. Now IO processor takes over that job. This information, it can be a small program, it is a little program that the operating system constructs and the IO processor executes. Now IO processor will take your job and it will control. Now the job of controlling the operation of the disk, it is done by a device called as disk controller. Now the IO processor, it will assign that thing to the disk controller, that job to the disk controller, and disk controller is asked if the disk drive is available for writing. Now IO processor will ask the disk controller, because disk controller is going to control the disk. So if the disk drive is available, then only we can write. So it is going to ask the disk controller whether the disk drive is available for writing. If there is much IO processing, there is a good chance but the drive will not be available, and our byte will have to wait in its buffer until the drive becomes available. So waiting time, it is waiting time you need to consider here now once again. So because there might not be any external things to be happen, so IO processor now asks the disk controller if the disk drive is available for writing. Now if it is not there, then you need to wait for some time until the disk drive is available. Then the disk drive is instructed to move its read-write head to the proper track and sector on the proper track and proper sector on the drive where our byte and its companions have to be stored. Now read-write head is instructed to, the disk drive is instructed to move its read-write head to the proper track and sector. Then you are going to store your byte onto that particular sector. Once the track and sectors are located, the I/O processor can send out the bytes one at a time to drive where it probably is stored in a little 1 byte buffer while it waits to be deposited on the disk. Finally, as the disk spins under the read-write head, the 8 bits of a byte, 1 byte, are deposited one at a time on the surface of the disk. This is how the journey of byte takes place. So we can see here several layers of journey of byte. So the first layer, the program, it is going to ask the operating system to write one character into text, the file. Then in the second layer you can see operating system takes over the job and it will pass the job to the file manager. Now the file manager, it will look up for text whether the file is open or available for use, what is it, what is the physical file name, what type of access you have, whether it is read only, write only, whatever. So that is the job of file manager. Next, file manager, it will search the file allocation table for the location where you exactly want to store your data. Then the file manager, it will deposit its data, that is character ch, to the buffer. Then it instructs the I/O processor from where the byte came, where it needs to go. All these things needs to be instructed to the I/O processor. Now I/O processor takes over the job, and I/O processor, it finds whether the drive is free. If it is not free, it has to wait for some time. Otherwise, it will send the character into the disk controller. But the disk controller is going to control the disk, and the disk controller, it will take the character and it instruct the drive move the read-write head to the proper track, because now disk controller knows what exactly the address, because we have already sent the address to the I/O processor. So I/O processor instructed the address to disk controller. Now disk controller tells move the read-write head to the proper track, and it will wait for desired sector to come under the read-write head. Then when the desired sector came to read-write head, it will send the byte to that particular sector one by one. If you have only one byte, it will send that byte to that particular sector. This is how exactly the journey of bytes takes place. So let us meet in the next session. Thank you.